Hello, Dispatch Radio Nation. Today we bring you a discussion about facing adversity with three people who know a lot about the topic. We recorded this from Berkeley Park Running Company in Northwest Denver with our friends at Suffer Better in Boulder. Peter Downing with Suffer Better moderates. And before we jump in, a quick reminder, what are you doing this Saturday, March 10th? If you're in the Boulder area, the place to be is the Studio Boulder, which is hosting the Boulder Lip Sync Battle, emceed by yours truly. Come on out for a fun evening, some great entertainment, and adult beverages all night. $15 in advance, $20 at the door. BoulderLipSyncBattle.com.
Backcountry Colorado, hiking, backpacking.
I did a lot of marathons. I was convinced to do some ultras.
Climbing, and I do filming and photography.
I just like the ultras because I love the community. I just think that everybody is so nice, whether they're the first place finishers or, you know, us that kind of mosey along.
Couple quick things before we dive in. My partner Bob, he and I co-founded a group called Suffer Better. We are a community of endurance athletes. We have a couple of things that we believe pretty strongly in, that you give your all in what you do, and you would give back. The three of them epitomize Suffer Better probably more than almost anybody I know. But they could honestly, each of them, talk probably for 6 or 7 hours of what they've been through and what their life is like. And I know you're probably want to go skiing tomorrow or something. So I thought it might help if I just sort of gave you an abbreviated version. This is Dave Mackey. This is Hillary Allen. And this is Amelia Dickerson. So I'm going to start with Amelia. Amelia Dickerson, she lost her sight. The way I've heard it described is a devastating car accident when she was 14. So somewhere about 20 years ago. Close, right? She's been a runner all along. Bob was telling me a funny story about Amelia just the other day, that she always has a guide when she runs. Most people can't keep up with her. It's the bitch about being the guide for running with Amelia, because she drops them. That's just life. What happens? So she's got to be pretty careful about who she picks. So Bob and Adam apparently were guiding her. I think it was at the Boulder Turkey Trot. Adam didn't finish with them. Bob was close. Anyway, she holds, at one point, I don't know if you still do, the marathon record for a visually impaired woman, which is amazing. She's fifth in her age group at Boulder, not visually impaired, her age group, right? So she's a badass, right? Amazing. She works at CU in the IT department. She runs with Adam and their Achilles International group, often up in Boulder, so you'll see them out there. This is Lotus. Lotus is a doll.
Actually a dog for our podcast.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, she's a... yeah, she has a seeing eye doll. That's a little weird. Okay, so that's Amelia. Hillary Allen, this young lady right here. You've probably heard about Hillary. She got attacked by a bear, right? She was telling me that sometimes she gets so tired of telling the story of what really happened that she explains all the scars and all the stuff that happened. It's like, I got attacked by a bear, whatever.
I mean, if you look at the scar, it looks like a bear attacked me, so, yeah.
You know, cans of Monster drink, right?
Yeah,
Her leg
it looks like my leg, yeah.
Right? So Hillary was over in Norway this past summer, running in the Sky Race series, the Tromsø, something? Tromsø. 50K, 21K in, she decided to fall off the ridge. Fell 150 feet, bounced a few times, landed at the bottom, pretty painful, broke both her wrists, tore the ligaments in her leg, broke a couple of ribs, couple of fractures in the spine, as I get, right? And lots of cuts and bruises. She's had, just recently, had the pins taken out of her foot, ankle. Still got plates in her wrists, getting back to running. I know she was in Utah not too long ago because they do a running up for air version. I don't know if she ran. I know she ate pierogies. She did run, right? I did run. Okay. So she's coming back from that. Amazing, really. Dave Mackey, probably heard about too. May of 2015, Dave was out for his normal morning run up Bear Peak in Boulder. Stepped on the wrong rock. It's that soggy spring, right? You all remember that? The rock decided it wasn't going to stay. Dave fell. Rock fell on Dave. Shattered his leg. It was really gross, by the way. And so 15 surgeries later, nothing's working. I mean, the tibia and fibula were toast. They tried metal things. They tried bone grafts. They tried bone meal. You name it. Nothing worked. So finally, Dave just said, screw it, and had them amputate his leg. And I'll never forget, we were at a going away party for his leg. People were honestly signing his leg, okay? So anyway, so that's these three extraordinary people. My question to start with is, how are each of you doing, and how do you cope with some of the, honestly, the shit you deal with every day? How is it? We'll start with Dave.
It's, well, for me, let's see, the accident was almost 3 years ago. And the amputation that I chose to do was an educated decision. I'm still happy I did it. You know, every once in a while I find information about, there's new techniques or procedures in orthopedics where maybe that would have worked. But overall, I'm happy with, the decision. I'm not happy with it, but I'm okay with it. I've kind of made peace with it. So I've kind of come to a point now, a year after the amputation, which for amputees means you're at a point of progress. The limb's adapted to a prosthetic socket. It's getting used to the attachments, which are called feet. And for me, it's, I'm at a good point right now. I do basically everything I did before. I'll never do them at the same level, which is fine. Luckily, I'm like late 40s right now, so if this happened.
Instead of age, like some of us use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there are people who have traumatic injuries who are in their 20s or even younger, and they have their whole lives ahead of them, and they could have been, running ultras and around the world. But luckily, I was able to do that, and so this accident happened at a good time, and so if it was going to happen at all. So for me, like being alive, as time's gone by, I'm so appreciative because the fall could have killed me. And I always keep that in the back of my mind that here I am with all my faculties and I'm aware and alert and like, wow, this is kind of cool when I could be dead. But as far as the injury itself, like I'm running and, going for hikes almost every day and have plans for, events and stuff. And
yeah, you just signed up for Leadman, according to Facebook anyway.
Facebook's all true, by the way.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah. So, so I have some aspirations. We'll see. I might fail, catastrophically, but I have a little success.
But you don't try. You don't fail if you don't try, right?
Exactly.
You'll never know. So,
exactly.
Do you hurt? I mean, are you in pain at all?
No, not at all. No. It's like that's all gone. That was a factor in my decision. Am I going to have, pain from, distal to where the injury was, which I probably would have for the rest of my life if I didn't choose to have the amputation, and so that's gone. I mean, I'll definitely have pain from running a lot.
We all get that.
That's just part of life.
That's normal, right? We get that.
Yeah. By the way, Peter, were you second at
that was like
100 once? Okay. I just got to
mention that was the 1900s
with
or
here.
Something.
Yeah. And the third is a podium finisher right here in this room too. By the way, he's in the audience. But yeah. Now he's ducking away over there.
So that's amazing. And doing Leadman, I'm impressed. So, all right, Hillary, how are you?
So, Dave, you're nice and optimistic. I'm going to say all of that and be like, all right, for real, it sucks. Like, it really sucks to be injured. I am a very positive person, and I think overall I have the same feelings. Like, I'm very lucky to be alive. I mean, falling 150 feet, somehow I landed appropriately. I was in obviously good shape, but I hit the mountain, eyewitnesses said, about 6 times, but that's a lot of times to, I broke my back, but that's a lot of times to break your back in a way that you're never going to come back from. So I feel really lucky that I'm alive. I mean, that's like the first thing that I can recognize, that that I'm not paralyzed and that I'm, moving and I'm in a better predicament. But still, I mean, there's there's a ton of up and downs every day. I mean, in the car ride over here, 20 minutes before, I was like, I might need an attitude adjustment. So, I mean, it does go a little bit, up and down. But I think that's realistic. I think it's okay to feel those times, to really feel the pain and really feel the loss of, I really love running. It's my favorite way to move outside, to explore. And it's like if you love something and you lose it, it's really painful. With the physical pain, I mean, I'm more kind of close to my accident. It's about 6 months from when it happened. And 10 days ago, I had surgery on my foot. So it's being able to kind of taste the ability to run again and go back to the movements I love, and then having to take a break and, sit with my feelings and sit with this, these ideas of these doubts of, okay, will I ever be able to run again? Will I ever be able to compete where I want to be again? But I think that's part of the process. And throughout all of this, it's an opportunity. I think it's an opportunity lost if I wasn't able to learn something, not only about how much I love running, but about myself on a deeper level. And I think, everyone can relate. If you've even stubbed a toe, if you've experienced pain, you get it. It sucks, right? You don't want to hold on to that. But to have stubbing a toe every day, every hour for 6 months, you kind of get sick of it. But I think overall, I'm better. I think I'm grateful for, like I said, this opportunity to grow as more of a fully formed human. So
Dave was talking about goals. Have you set those for yourself?
Oh yeah. I mean, I actually just set them on a daily basis. So every day I have a goal. It's okay, I want to move in this way today. And it's a constant I'm constantly amending them. If, my foot doesn't feel it, or I just don't emotionally or mentally feel up to the task. But long term, of course, I'm going to be patient with myself, but I already have some cool travel plans for this summer, just as a way to kind of get back out and do events and let go of this idea of I have to be at my peak performance to enjoy myself in this awesome community.
Amelia.
I think for me it's a little bit different, just in that I am almost 20 years out from my injury, and I guess I would say that in some ways, reassuring or not, the pain, some of the pain and that sort of thing that comes from the injury never leaves. It's always there. You get used to it. And there are always little things that nobody told me I should expect that I could expect this to pop up 15 years from the accident. I always wonder when they talk about, when they give lists of, this many people injured, in a train accident or whatever. I wonder what the rest of that person's life, the affected people, is going to look like, because there's always this assumption the person is walking out of the hospital and they're happy and healthy and they're all put back together again. And that's not really what my experience with the medical field has been. It's I kind of more think they, duct tape it together the best they can, and then that duct tape wears out, and then they're oh, now that's falling off over there, that sort of thing. So, but I think coming from that, it also gives me this, reflect, kind of the other part of that is to be so grateful, kind of both Dave and Hillary said, to be feeling so grateful for everything that does work. And, because in car accidents, there's so much that can go wrong. It's okay, this is what went wrong with me, but there's so much that I can still do, and I can move my body, and I'm agile, I'm not, just all those different things that could have happened, they didn't happen. And so I think there is a lot of the bouncing back and forth between kind of feeling frustrated, this is still here, this is bothering me, and then moving back into, but I am so grateful that I can go outside and I can feel the warm sun and I can do that. And it's much harder when it's I can't run, and then I'm frustrated, so I'm not at all saying that I've somehow arrived at this great, Zen place where I'm I am just grateful for the ability to, anything that I can do, I'm grateful for that, because I think I strive towards that. Definitely have not arrived at it, but I think maybe one thing that I take from the accident is that even that would be a goal, because without the accident, kind of without visiting a little bit of your own mortality, it doesn't really, when you don't have that experience, you just don't really have any reason to try and appreciate some of that.
I mean, all three of you have talked about that and sort of how grateful you are that you can get out there. So are there times when, I know we all feel this, there are times when it's like, oh, I don't want to run. I know I should go out and run. I should do something. What do you, I mean, does that happen less often, more often for you guys now than before? I mean, and how do you do you deal with it differently? Do you have strategies, things that you do that help you either just say, screw it, it's okay if I don't, or that get you out the door, if that's it? Dave, fire.
Well, for me, it's I've never had a problem being motivated, I guess.
Really?
And I'm still like that. I got up earlier this morning, got a run in, and so for me, I think I try to appreciate what like Amelia and Hillary were saying as far as appreciating what you can do. And so for me, just knowing what could have been and how bad that could have been and how good it is now is really important. And that kind of gets me going to when I'm thinking, oh, I'm not motivated. And actually before, when I showed up at 6 o'clock or 5:45, I was like, oh, is there a group run right now, or am I going to do it? Do I feel like I was like, no, I just worked all day, and I was like, screw it, I'm going if it's happening. And it wasn't, but I would have gone. So just because I know, like, if everything was taken away, I'd be like, oh, I could have done that run back then,
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I'm trying to say it on the positive side.
What do you think, Hill?
I don't know. I'm just feeling a little bit angry because all you guys can run right now and I can't. No, I mean, I've never had a problem with motivation either. In fact, it's probably I went to my PT today and he was telling me things that I shouldn't do right now, that I should calm down. I don't really deal well with that kind of direction. But I mean, yeah, it's like I have not achieved the Zen moment of like be grateful for everything that you can do and like that you are not paralyzed and that you like, I know that, I understand that, like I am grateful, and I'm also pissed off, like, cause I can't move the same way that I could, and it's a long time to stay in this, like I feel like a caged animal. I have all of this energy, and I want to like express it in a way that I that's my favorite way to do it. But I'm still grateful for like the times when I can move, like that running up for air event that I did in Utah. Like it was 6 hours of me going up and down this mountain. It was the longest thing that I'd done since the accident. And it, like, yes, I was very happy to do it, but during the whole event, I mean, I was crying at some points. Like it did not feel good. Like my feet felt like someone was like pounding them with the hammer the whole time. I think moving forward, when I get to a place of course, like I can't wait for that one moment when I get to run just like kind of carefree on the trails again. And of course it's going to look different from how it used to be and how it used to feel. But I think it's like I've tapped into this well of like gratitude and this ability, I think, to like withstand pain and suffering. So I can feel the lows, but I can also feel these extreme highs. And I think that that's something, yeah, like I'm looking forward to.
Does anything fill that sort of, I mean, all of us who run, there's nothing like running. People always say, oh, well, you can go for a bike ride. Well, that's bullshit because it's not the same. I don't care what they say. It's not the same. I could ride my bike for 3 days and I'd still rather run for half an hour. So, I mean, we all get that. So how do you find that? How do you fill that?
Yeah, you're right. It's like one of my favorite ways to move. Like, used to hate hiking because it was so slow. And now I'm like, I just wish I could hike. I mean, it's all relative. But I think as runners, that's why we choose to run, is because it's one of our favorite ways. I mean, I can certainly like alpine skiing or like alpine touring, being up in the mountains. Like, I think for me, it's like being out in nature. So if I can have a way to be out there, like, yeah, I hate road biking because you're on the road. Like, I don't want to be on the road, but then I'm terrified of mountain biking because, okay, I fell 150 feet. Like, I don't need to put 2 wheels associated with this. So, yeah. No, I don't need the extra speed. I already forgot a parachute once. Like, I don't need to do it again.
Yeah, interesting. What about you, Amelia?
This is not where I want to be, and my legs are ready, and the rest of me can't do it. And I think of that. There's been this whole combination of different ways that I've filled it or not filled it. Sometimes it's like growing up, neighbor had a trampoline, so I would just walk into their yard and start jumping on the trampoline. As when I was kind of high school, I would sometimes go running on my own, and I could see just barely enough to kind of maybe sort of a lot of the time see the difference between the path and the grass on the side, maybe sometimes. And so I would go running the Highline Canal, and sometimes I could see that, and then sometimes I would just go like running off and rolling down the side of the hill, you know, kind of that steep hill. I had one time where I was running and I was going to go to the track at the middle school, and I was like, okay, I'll be able to see the crosswalk. I'm sure I'll be able to see the crosswalk. Looking for the crosswalk, smack into a split rail fence and flipped over the top into one of those electrical thingies on the other side, and smashed a big black eye with blood running down my face and that sort of thing. It's like so it's one of those things where it's like, sometimes you do things that maybe aren't the wisest. I did just, sprain that ankle and it's horribly swollen, but I'm going to run on it because that might make it better. You never know. Give it a try. Yeah, exactly. So, even now as I'm older, there'll be days where it is too cold outside. It's not fair to ask my dog to run with, bare paws on the street. And so I have to kind of give that up. And it's hard to do. But I guess it's just this constant effort to be like, can I be grateful for what I have? So, okay, right now I can run a mile kind of half with a cane, half with my dog. And I am just going to be grateful for the fact that I can do this one little mile. But I guess remember for the future, like, just to be grateful for that run. I mean, there's no great answer for, and again, maybe if get good at meditation or something like that. But yeah.
Any of you have a question? Somebody you want to chime in?
Dave, what was it like getting back into competition and doing your 50K?
Well, I wouldn't call it competition. I was competing against my brother, who did his first 50K, his first ultra.
Did you beat him?
I beat him.
Yes!
I beat him. Of course I did. Yeah. No, he...
Now you have traumatized your brother.
I know. So it was good to, get out and just be, running an event or having a distance to do. But for me, competition is only within myself, and it's not against other people anymore. I'm not going for a place or anything like that.
There are a lot of people that will be glad to hear that.
Thanks. So yeah, it felt great, Ryan. It was just good to get out and have a goal. And for me, I guess I'm so used to doing races, from whatever 20 years or something. So for me, that was the goal. I could probably get the same satisfaction when going for a 30-mile run around Boulder. But yeah, it was great. It felt awesome to know that I could do it. That was my key thing. Is like, can I do this distance? And it's like, okay, I can. Yeah.
My question's more for you two, because you guys are sponsored athletes before you guys got in your injuries. I know, we read these articles from you guys and they say, thanks for the support from your sponsors and from friends. How true has that been, considering you guys haven't been able to perform like you guys were sponsored to do?
I'll take that one. Brought to you by North Face. Thank you. Just kidding. Okay, so I was in the middle of my season. I also teach at a small college, and so I'm supported by North Face, but they were extremely supportive. I mean, even with that catastrophic fall and that season that I basically lived in Europe for 3 months focusing on racing and running, I was still, mind you, second in the world though. I finished my season ranked second in the world. So I technically did perform my North Face, obligations. But that's never why I run. I don't run for those types of results. It is an inner, I'm very competitive. I want to do my best. But that's also why I'm with a brand like North Face, because they kind of support me in other areas. They were extremely supportive. They flew out my mother. Getting back into the United States after that accident was insane. I literally couldn't walk. I had this Swiss Italian man that said he spoke English, but I don't know what he was saying. But I was just looking to his eyes. He would carry me on the airplane. But I was also on a bunch of morphine, so that was probably it too. So thank you, North Face, for that. But I mean, it's really hard. It's something I've had to, I've had to talk with North Face about this year going into this season, because there's a performance piece to it. There's some sort of monetary value or some advertisement value that they have associated with you, and they're invested in you as an athlete. So I think there's a lot of pressure, more pressure internally that I put on myself to get back out there so I can compete. But it's also, another important aspect to running is just the community. And I think a brand like North Face gets that. And so now, instead of maybe competing until I'm ready to compete again, I can, go to these different events and be there and, do my best, as my recovery and my body permits me to participate in a way that I am able to until I'm at my best again. And I think that's an important part to realize. It's not just about, certainly for some brands, it's about you must win every race you enter, but that's not why I ran in the first place. I started running because it made me happy, and I was lucky enough to get with a brand that supported that as well. So yes, that's my goal. I would like to compete and to compete again at a high level because, and I know I can do it. I know it's all up here. It's mentally, but
She's pointing at her head.
my head, it's mental. But it's but that's more of a personal battle. It's I want to get out there and compete again because it's how I like to gut and grit it out. And it's me at my best. So I want that feeling again because it's me at my best. But it's kind of separate from this piece of being a sponsored athlete. And I think certain brands, and regardless if I'm sponsored, I'm still going to run. And if a brand is going to support me, then cool. But if not, then, well, I'll still go beat all those other girls that are sponsored.
That competitive streak.
At least I'll try.
Be more motivated than ever when you get back at it. I can tell.
What about you, Dave?
For me, I had a part-time sponsorship from Hoka, and they, I was with them for 8 years, and I still am, and they were with me as if nothing had happened, along the way from the accident all the way until now. So nothing's really changed. They don't have, I don't have to meet any milestones or anything, and they're there for me, and they've been there all the way. So I have another, I work full time, but running's always been a part-time job for me for a long time. So, and it always will be.
Yeah, I actually think running is your full-time job, and that other thing is the part-time thing.
Yeah. So yeah, but there's no pressure. That might be played up by most brands are probably cool with whatever when they get injuries, because it's just part of being an athlete. Everybody gets them. It's just part of it. No one's going to get cut off, as far as I know. But at least in the outdoors type of world, people, the whole industry is very supportive of stuff like this.
Plus, it creates cool content. He just had a video made about him. Come on. And you all are probably going to watch it.
And somebody else have a question out there?
Bob Africa, come into the microphone.
For Amelia. So Amelia, we've run a lot. I've tried to keep up as best as I can. But listening to you to talk and how important it is for you to have people to run with. I've also seen you just kind of take off into the sunset with someone you don't even know. And I'm just curious, what's that like to just almost kind of give yourself over to someone and that amount of trust to just go. And I actually vividly recall the first time we ran together. I forgot that you didn't have your sight, and you ate shit and you fell all over the place. And I remember feeling, I still to this day cringe about that. And you fall. Remember that. Yep. and you've fallen several times since then, and you just bounce back up and off we go. So I'm just more about what's that like to have to just kind of hand it over to someone else that you don't even know sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I actually wonder if that's maybe a maladaptive part of me, that I don't get more nervous about it. Because other people talk about being uncomfortable, going out there and learning to run blind or whatever. I remember the first time that I ran after getting out of the hospital. It was a man who worked with my mother. But I didn't know him at all. we went out and we did half a mile, and I was so grateful to have the opportunity to finally get to do that after being in the hospital and just the whole time, I want to run, I want to run, I want to get out of here, I want to run. It never really occurred to me to not just trust. As far as the falling goes, I mean, my theory is, so I don't want to tear stuff. When you get a sprain, that doesn't go so well. But when I fall, blood just makes for good stories. I mean, I actually get a little worried when my knees are completely healed up and everything. It's like, wow, I look like I don't do anything right now. Pain passes, and maybe I will have a different attitude about that as I get older, and if the falls lead to more than that, but right now it's just a little bit of blood and scabs, and I can handle that, and it doesn't bother me. Running is more important, so it just doesn't really occur to me to not trust. I mean, the thought crosses my mind, but but I don't feel nervous or untrusting. It has shown me just this great, kindness and generosity in people. One thing is, I mean, especially at a race, so the person that I run with, they are choosing to not run that race for themselves. They're choosing to run it for me. I had a marathon that did California International Marathon, and I lost both of my guides, and so I was, as my second guide that I was losing, as we were running along, and I knew he didn't have much left in him, and we're going, and I told you. I'm contemplating. It's like, okay, what are my options? Because if I have to drop out of this race, I am gonna be unhappy. I'm gonna be bummed. I'm gonna be sad. I want to keep running. So I'm thinking well, I can hear the other people running around me, so maybe I can just kind of follow everybody else and it'll be okay. But fortunately, there was a guy who'd been kind of, back and forth running with us since the start, and my guide asked him, hey, would you mind picking up and running with her? And so for the, pretty much the second half, this guy, he just decided to, instead of his PR and everything he was hoping for out of this race, he said, yeah, I'll run with you and I'll help you get through this. And it's like, just having that sort of experience has been incredible for me. It's shown me, it's kind of like, it's forced me into this position where I've had the opportunity to just see incredible things about other people. And then I think this, has less to do with the other person, but the other part, I think, comes out, part of what I love about running is that it's simple. Really all you need are the shoes. Well, I guess some people would argue you don't need the shoes, but I need the shoes. But really all you need are the shoes. So for me, it's I need my shoes. I need some form of tether to run with somebody, but use lots of things as tethers. You can get creative, and another person. And I love the simplicity of it.
I just wanted to say something that I could really learn a lot from you, Amelia, as far as the trusting with falling. I am now terrified of falling. It's a real fear. I remember the first time I tried to run, even on the Sanitas path, just a really a gravel path. I remember thinking there were no rocks. It was just crushed gravel, and I kept on repeating in my head, "Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall." And so, yeah, I think that simplicity is something that I think, just trusting in the process and just trust. That's a huge thing that I could learn from you, and I think everyone in general. And just this to reiterate, the community. It's just that's one of the main reasons why I love the sport so much. And when I came home from Norway, I could hardly walk. I couldn't walk. I had a scooter and a wheelchair, and I couldn't do stairs, and I couldn't even live at my home for a month. I had my friends took me in and helped me. And so it opens up that opportunity to meet people that you never would have encountered otherwise, traveling at these different races. I really enjoy that about the sport and running.
I'm really impressed with. I mean, Hillary, you, like you're saying, you're new to the sport still, and you're going to do so much. I've seen Amelia. We both live in South Boulder, and I've seen her on the streets here and there, and now I get to meet her, and I'm going to run with her hopefully in the near future. I'm out at random hours all the time, so I'm going to give my number. You can call me. Well, if you get the last minute, if you get the urge, I know what it's like. Just text me or whatever. Okay. Yeah, I know. I don't do speed. I do slow and steady.
Well, so the big thing they've talked about that I think comes out of this at the end is just this community, and you guys are all part of that. So it's how almost all of us, it's what keeps us going in this. Yes, we love to run, but it's all these other people that we get to meet and play with and when we're out there that make it work. So that's you all, and thank you for being here. So let's give these three a huge hand. Thank you, guys. Pretty amazing. Awesome. And so please stick around. Thanks, Russ. Thanks for doing that. Yes. Yeah, all of you. Thanks for being here. It's great. And thanks for Berkeley Park for letting us come hang out. I love this little place, actually. It's pretty fun. So thank you all.
In my life, had a big fall, and a breast. Oh, yeah. The story. Yeah.